the White House just found out that a whole bunch of executive orders and things signed by Joe Biden when he was president were done by use of an AutoPen. Now, you might be thinking, what's an AutoPen, like I was? An AutoPen, is that an e-signature service? Is that like a pen that somehow directs you like a Ouija board? Yes, Y-E-S. Does anyone believe Ouija boards work? I don't think so. Maybe that's an episode, a Ouija board episode special. But they found out he used this AutoPen for signatures, some of which when he was away on vacation. And what an AutoPen actually is, it is honestly what you thought it wouldn't be. It's a gigantic machine used to write a signature. And you'd think in 2024, or whenever Biden was using this, that we would have some sort of advanced technology as opposed to just, a 1950s robot holding a pen that you use to sign things. So I was shocked at how primitive this is. So you literally just write your signature on this card, and it slides into this card reader, and then you place it, I guess, right below where you want the signature to go, and it writes it out for you the same every time, as long as whatever's on the card. And they tout this as being, as long as you have your card, nobody else can use it, so don't give anyone your card. Surely that's what happens, but the theory is Joe Biden signs this card, and then they can use it whenever they want. That was a pretty terrible card, if I if I have to be honest. That was a pretty terrible signature, but that's the gist of it. You tell it the signature you want to use. I'm sure they have a better one than that. I would hope so. And it signs things for you. But now people are calling into question whether or not some of these pardons or executive orders were legitimate because of the AutoPen. Specifically, the pardon of Anthony Fauci, which of course is controversial to the highest degree. So this is from friend of the show, Joe McKinnon. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and others with questionable track records have received controversial pardons just prior to Joe Biden leaving office. New signature analysis conducted by the Heritage Foundation Oversight Project indicates that the same exact Biden AutoPen signature appeared on each of these pardons. This revelation regarding the use of an automatic pen signature device, coupled with the evidence of Biden's diminished agency while in office and previous allegations concerning his sidelining, has prompted some critics to wonder who is actually dispensing the pardons. So, here's the other thing about it. Trump and Obama have used the so-called AutoPen, and there are indications that document signings during Biden's tenure were repeatedly undertaken while he was absent, not only in body but possibly in mind. So that's an important thing to note, that Trump and Obama also use this. I don't think it should be used at all. I think, where is the president going where he can't get something printed or faxed? What is he signing that needs like his authorization instantly over the phone, as opposed to send it to me, I'll fax it to me, I'll sign it and fax it back. I guess it's basically the same concept where you're signing things from afar, but you could easily see how that thing could cause abuse, especially when somebody like Biden is in office who purported to be brain dead. We don't know yet if he was acting the whole time, and in front of cameras he was the bumbling fool that we saw. It'd be a hell of an acting job. But the idea here is that he is so mentally diminished at the time through using his signature when he's not giving permission to. The White House acknowledged that the Federal Aviation Administration funding extension was signed in May 2024 using the AutoPen. It was suggested that Biden, traveling in San Francisco at the time, had sought to avoid a lapse in funding and was cognizant of this taking place. Biden has, however, cast doubt on whether he was always in the loop when documents were being signed in his name. I saw a video on Rogan where he was talking about somebody who's talking to somebody who's in the White House, and they had mentioned that Biden didn't It was Speaker Mike Johnson in a video that he showed, and he was saying that he couldn't get a meeting with Biden for 8 weeks, I think, and when he finally got it, he said, President Joseph R. Jehoshaphat X, why'd you sign this executive order? And he's like, I didn't. And he said, yes, you did. And he insisted that he didn't, so he had the secretary print one out and bring it into him, and he insisted that he'd never remembered signing it. So that would be an anecdote as to where it seems like something like that might be used. Now, I think the issue we run into here is, do we want anyone using an AutoPen when it can be so easily abused, especially if a president becomes sick or something else, doesn't remember anything, or becomes Joe Biden? The correct thing here is not to elect a guy who is at least showing signs that he can't move. He couldn't get off stages. He couldn't walk upstairs. He couldn't ride a bike. It could have been worse. He could have been Mitch McConnell freezing. He could have been Nancy Pelosi drunkenly falling down the stairs, allegedly. But you don't want this to happen. I don't think anyone should really support this. And the questions have come up legally if this stuff holds water. Now, if Trump and Obama have used it, Trump's just going to re-sign anything that he did. You know what I mean? But under Biden, all these different questions are being asked. And I think it's just a method to possibly, make them look even worse and, put a few more things into place and strip a few more places into funding. Whether those things I would support or not, I don't know. It would have to depend on what it is, of course. But I think everybody knew that Joe Biden wasn't calling the shots. Like, again, the conspiracy side of me is like, what if he was just lying to make you not suspect anything from him? But assuming things are on the level and he, thought that an Archie comic was brand new and he thought that Scooby-Doo came out last year. Assuming it was all like that, we all knew anyways that he wasn't the one pulling the strings. So is it any question? Is it any surprise that things were being signed, if they were, without his consent? I wouldn't be surprised at all. And to be honest, anything that got signed was not something that I would suspect him to be against anyways. You remember that speech he gave with the red and black lights behind him, the real doomsday address? That was quite the time. Like, that was when, they say all these dark times about Trump, but when the president comes out literally emoting and, having a presentation as if he's some sort of fascist dictator and then saying, like, MAGA is our enemies. And then they say that about Trump. It's a little weird. So I don't think it would be, would it be far-fetched to think that Biden signed something that was about men and women's bathrooms or something like that, or funding to something ridiculous? Of course not. Oh, of course not.